It is currently 9 o'clock at night, and I'm here to do the revision of my final reflection essay, or not my final reflection, it was my final narrative essay. And the essay was about the death of my mom and how I took that and I put it into a poem. Although the actual poem and me describing it more went into detail about like how it made me feel and how I fell apart, because I didn't have a lot of time or room to fit in my mom, what she was like, how her death affected this, like where was my dad in the picture, where was her mother, my grandmother in the picture, where was family in the picture. And I'm here to just kind of elaborate on that. I'll kind of start off with who my mom was. So my mom's name is Christina Barone, but her actual like maiden name before she married my dad was Christina Rueda, I think. Yeah, Rueda. I'm probably pronouncing it so wrong, but yeah, Rueda. And she actually grew up in, she hasn't told me much about her past. That's one thing that she always hated talking about, was her past. It always made her uncomfortable, but from what I know, my mom grew up in Arizona, and she eventually moved to New Mexico with her mom and her older sister Yolanda when she was about 14 years old, like freshman year. And she actually went to La Cueva, and funny enough story, her first time going to La Cueva, she went to a football game after her first day of school, and there was another school, I can't remember the name of what she told me, but they were all ethnically Mexican and Hispanic, and the La Cueva people from the stands and the football team threw a bunch of tortillas on the football field. So she was staring at that and going, wow, okay. That was really funny when she told me. Not very funny because it's racist, but it was a interesting story. But before that, my mom grew up in a very difficult household. Her mother is from Portugal, came to this country all by herself, had no friends, no anything, got her citizenship by herself, bought her house by herself, and her, her first husband, which was my Yolanda's dad and my mom's dad, he was okay. They had a good marriage and a good life at first when the girls were younger. Then he got very domestically violent. He would always harm Yolanda, and my mom had to witness that a lot of the times. She was considered the pretty sister, so she never got hurt in that way, but Yolanda was always usually getting the one who was getting like physically beat. But my mom did have to witness all of that. So she did grow up with violence, and she knew of like how that worked. Eventually my mom's dad did leave, and he broke the window and took all of the cash they had, all the money, everything that was important. And apparently they were out on a girls' day, came back, and everything was gone. He had taken all the cash. So then they had to start from zero. And I think that was a couple years before they moved to New Mexico from Arizona. But my mom was always apparently from what my grandma told me and what my mom told me, she was always very like outgoing, and she was always like a very go-getter. And my mom has always been like the same way, and you cannot tell her anything and how to live her life and what to do or how to do it. And my mom has always had a very strong, and I've even heard this from my grandma, my mom has always had a very strong like moral compass of, you will do nothing to the people I love, and you will do nothing to me, and I will stand on my own 2 feet, and this and that. And that was true for pretty much up until she died, apparently. It's funny because my mom was always seen of having to be tough. It was a very different time back then, and my mom was always fighting people, but not because she was doing it to be mean. She was always standing up for people. She told me this story I'll never forget. Basically, some girl was bullying her friends, and she got into a fight. The girl ripped out her earrings, and she threw her into a rose bush and then jumped in and continued fighting her and sent her to the hospital. So my mom has always had a very strong moral compass of just like doing what's right. And that was still to this day, and that continued and carried with her for a very long time, even after she graduated high school, even after she got married. My mom always had this strong moral compass of she would go to war and die for anyone that she actually saw as her person. My mom is a very closed off person. She's very easy to talk to, but her walls are big, and she will almost never let you in. There are some things that I probably don't know to this day, and I will never find out because she's gone. But she always kept that because she thought she viewed it as weakness, because she had to fight both physically and mentally pretty much her entire life, and she's like thought it was weakness. But anyway, I don't know much about my mom's like, or if she attempted to go to college. From my knowledge, she didn't, and she went immediately into like finance. And my mom, I totally forgot which branch of finance, but it was like a financial branch at this one company, and my mom worked there for a really long time. And man, she was just like the superstar of that company. And this was at the beginning of when my mom and my dad met, and they had met through a mutual friend which set them up, and then they just kind of started dating ever since. And you know, they were together for 13 years in totality, which is crazy. That's like literally almost more than half my lifetime that they were together. But basically my mom worked at this financial branch, and she was just the superstar. And even still to this day, my Fatima, my grandma, my mom's mom, refers to my mom as her superstar. She was this like shining star that nobody could touch. You couldn't tell her anything. She ran her own desk and ran the business at the same time as not only a financial advisor who would advise you with stuff, but then would also run the entire business. And she actually came into a manager position. And at one point in time, she was making more than my dad. And my dad works at Sandia, or was just starting at Sandia. And life was good. She had her own house, that kind of stuff. And she had like the perfect life that she had built from nothing. You know, she didn't come from money. She didn't come from anything. She bought her own car. She bought her own makeup. She did this, she did that. She worked at El Pinto, funny enough. But yeah, she was a real superstar. You would know when she walked in a room, you know, with really pretty long black hair, and even just the way she would like speak to you, and the way it was like commanding. Like she would command your attention, you know, but it's not like in a way of like, oh, look at me or else. It was just in the way she spoke. Like when she spoke, you paid attention. And when she walked into a room, you noticed her. When she walked around, it was like with this validity of like, I know what I'm doing, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can follow my lead and you'll go to success. She was just this like monster, you know. She would get anything done, and it was so funny because she'd have her little pretty heels on and then would just walk. She was a boss lady. But it's funny because like she seemed like this really like uptight person, but she was such a softie at heart, obviously because of like her childhood. She had like trouble like expressing that, but she's a very emotional person, like to her core. Like I remember one time I caught her crying to a Barbie movie, and then she threw a pillow at my head saying, "You didn't see this," and then turned the TV off and walked away. It was actually really funny. But my mom was always this very like stoic person, but like on the inside she was always like just so emotional. It's so funny because it's like she would see something happen and you could like see it, like the cogs turning in her head of like, wow, this is messed up. And you would see it, like she felt genuine empathy in the way that she would want to help people. And her love language was actually through cooking. She had trouble kind of expressing, saying I love you or this or that, you know, because of her own things, and each to our own, you know what I mean? But like, she would cook for you. She would do things for you. She'd clean the house for you. It was acts of love to like be like, I love you so much and I did this because I want you to be okay. with coworkers, she would spend days cooking up like a really good like pot roast or spending money on ribs. And it was like, she was so selfless in the way of like, she would gladly spend the money and maybe go into a little financial burden if it meant that that person was happy, if it meant that she couldn't have what she had. But cooking was like the way into her soul. You really saw like the effort she puts into meals and the effort she like really puts into like, it's like, it's such a beautiful dish, and it's just like a representation of like how much she loves you. And she doesn't complain it, she loves doing it. She'll make breakfast, lunch, and dinner and worked at the same time, you know. She was amazing in those ways. But eventually, like, her and my dad did get divorced. You know, sometimes people fall out of love and that happens, but they still made a really good co-parenting relationship. And she had an amazing relationship with my Fatima. Not as much with Yolanda. You know, sisters fight. They can both hold a grudge is all I say. But dang, they didn't talk for a little bit. But basically, you know, Fatima and my mom were so close. They'd call nearly every single day, where my mom could help her out financially. She would pay for her insurance. She would send her money for food, and she would just try her best to help her mom. And I remember one time I asked her, and I'm like, well, if I do this, if it's going to push you in financial burden, she's like, I owe everything to my mother for you, and I hope you would do the same to me. And it really stuck with me, and it gave me a sense of like, you know, she's the one who gave me the mentality of like, I don't owe you anything just for popping you out. You owe me for what I do and what I sacrifice for you as a human being and as my daughter. That's what you owe me for. Not because I popped you out. I made the decision to have you. That's where my mentality actually came from, was from her. And then, you know, eventually she did die. And that was hard. Obviously, it was a shocker to my father. He was married to the girl for 13 years. You know, maybe they didn't end up on the best note, but you could like see it. It is all kind of a blur, because I just kind of I was in my own world. I was just trying to process it, I guess. My dad is already a very stoic person. You know, if you ever meet the guy, you'll be like, you know, are you okay? And he'll be like, yeah. My dad was shocked. You know, I mean, you know someone so intimately for 13 years and be with them and have a child with them. It's going to hit you a little hard, and it did for a while. I never saw the ways that it hit him, but, you know when a person cries. That was the day I think I almost saw my dad cry. And then, obviously, Yolanda, you know, she wasn't close with her, and I think that guilt really kind of set in of, like, not talking to her before it was too late and before she was just too far gone to actually talk with her, to rebuild that relationship, to have that relationship. Sometimes, you know, you'll see photos of them together and it was like, I wonder what that was like, and I wonder how they were like together. But yeah, it hit Yolanda pretty hard, more in the sense of like she shut down because she just felt so guilty that maybe if she had even a little time with her sister, it could have been different. Fatima, though, my grandma, yeah, no, she's still a wreck to this day. Not a wreck, you know, my grandma's a very strong-willed person. But it hit her hard. I mean, like, my mom was her superstar. I'm not gonna lie, my mom was the favorite child. My mom was the one she was bragging about. The mom, you know, and Fatima was just so proud of her. And then when she lost my mom, even to this day, she'll say, oh, your mom used to say that, or oh, Breezy, you look so much like your mother, or this and that. But you can see, like, it hits her hard. Yeah. But yeah, that definitely hit Fatima the hardest. yeah, it still kind of hurts to this day when you hear her talk about her, and it kind of brings those memories back, and it makes you think, you know. It just makes you think, is all it really does. But honestly, Fatima still isn't really recovered to this day, you know. I think she just kind of learned what it's like to live like without her daughter, you know, in her life, you know, without that presence in her life. And obviously me, right? I mean, like, I already explained what it did to me in the very awesome narrative poem that I wrote. I would say that's very awesome. But yeah, obviously I don't know how like my cousins reacted, because they weren't there at the time. But like, my mother was just this indescribable person, because she was just like an experience, you know. Like, you met her and it was like nicotine. You couldn't get enough of her. And it was even like the way she would just clock you sometimes for being stupid, and she wouldn't baby talk you. And I really do attribute my mom to a lot of the world knowledge that I have, not in the sense of like political or how much interest rates affect your credit or blah blah blah, but it was like more in the sense of like, she taught me human experience, and she taught me what it really means to be human, to look at other people, whether it's like all these other things. Like, my mom, when she was here, taught me so much. And my mother, it was funny because she was such like a spiritual person. She was religious, but she was more spiritual. But she'd smack me right now if she heard me saying that. But yeah, but it's just the way in her philosophy of how she kind of lived life. Like, in a lot of the ways I kind of adopted now, it's like we're all the same experience, and it's just the human experience. And I think that's really what got me through, like, not having her anymore, was just, it's the human experience. And eventually, you know, we're all gonna die someday, and we're all gonna lose. And she really taught me that the more you kind of hang on to it, the more that you drown in it, the more that you can't see how much ocean really is out there. And maybe there's land somewhere, and maybe you can build more land, who knows, but you'll never find it if you're just drowning in a little pond that you made. Great quote by my mother, by the way. But yeah, but you know, my mom, Christina, was just this indescribable experience that you could never really kind of like you could never really like put into words, essentially. You would just have to know. And you know, I think that's one of the greatest privileges that I now get to have, is the fact that you could only know. Even me describing it, like in this podcast, even me describing it to you, like, you would never know, like, what she was like. You know what I mean? Or what she used to be like. It was an indescribable person. You would just have to experience her. But I guess that's something that I can hold dear to my heart and say that that's something that I have that no one else can have, or few people have had, but only something I can have, just like as her daughter. And other people have experiences like as her friend or as her lover, as her mother, but like I had it as her daughter. And I would sit here and argue with anyone that the connection I had to her was so much deeper, because like I was made from her. I came out of her. So it's like the way I see her and the way I view her, it comes from a very deep level of not just appreciation, but like I can't even really describe it. I guess it's how any really human being kind of views their mom. Like, holy shit, I came from you. Sorry for the language. yeah, but that's who my mom was. She was a go-getter, hard-headed. She always had to look, and she smelled phenomenal always. Have to put that in. She always made sure to smell good. She always made a point, even if she didn't have to make a point to just be the star. Everywhere she would go, people would talk to her. Everywhere she went, she'd make people laugh. It was like she was just this anomaly that everyone floated towards, everyone wanted to be, everyone admired. You know, it's just something kind of like how you could never describe like what the Northern Lights look like in real life. You know, the camera can't capture all of the beauty of the human eye that can see, but you know, me describing it with words or even me writing it down can't describe the beautiful human experience that my mother was. But maybe giving a little more clarity on like why it affected me so badly was because my mother was just this wonderful person. You know, she did so much, she worked so hard, and I guess in a sense it kind of felt like it was all for nothing. But I know it wasn't for nothing, and I know she's content and proud with like how her life went for the time that she was here. Even if it was a shorter time than it should have been, it was still a time that was well spent, you know? But I think that is possibly the best, more emotional, like person aspect I could capture of my mother. I already gave like a vivid, like detailed description of her appearance, but that was more of like her personal life and like why this effect had so badly on me. Like obviously I can't really describe to you in vivid detail like why my mom was so important to me. Like, you know, as a mother you just know, and as a daughter, as a person, you just know. But my own personal relationship to my mom comes from the fact that she was just this like figure, you know. She'd hold you when you cry, but she like wouldn't baby you too much because she wanted you to stand on your own 2 feet. She would help you, she would teach you. She was this mother, but she was this leader for you. She was going to be there, she was going to teach you, she was going to do all of these things for you, but she was gonna do it with you. She wasn't gonna do it for you. And even just, she was so goofy, you know, like sometimes she would just do goofy things or put on a costume and come out of the room and you'd just be like, what the hell are you wearing? And she'd be like, isn't this so funny? And I'd be like, I don't know, but it's making me laugh. It's just like little silly moments like that that seem to be lost to time now, and that are slowly getting lost to time. But it's why this project was nice. It kind of made me think back to all the things that my mom used to do and just be like, wow, I remember she was doing this, and I guess I kind of forgot about it because I got wrapped up in life. But anyway, that was my revision to give more detail about my mom and to give more detail about like how the family acted, kind of like her backstory, things like that, but like give more detail on like who she was, because I didn't get to get into that, even though I really wanted to. But it was nice to talk about. But hopefully this is enough, Mrs. Aronson, and I am so terribly sorry if it's too long. It's actually very short. I could talk about my mother for hours, unfortunately, or fortunately, but thank you very much. Bye.